Hey y'all, thanks for joining me. Yesterday I watched an older prophecy video from my friend Christopher from his Holy Wisdom channel. This video was an interview by Dionysius Macris. He interviewed the unnamed Elder of Pangaeus, and I found it quite interesting on the information that he was sharing at that time on March 10th, 2024, while we were in a Great Lent at that time. And in that year, Pascha was May 5th. So we're talking about the US-Israeli attack on Iran, okay? That's what this subject is about. This particular part I was watching that I found very interesting. And so what I'm going to do now is share just a reminder of what Elder Joseph said on this issue. He had said in phase 2, an attack by America and Israel against Iran is imminent. He does not get into detail what exactly that means. And then I'm going to remind you about Elder Theodore, who also had a prophecy on Izzy striking the Iranian nuclear facility. And that took place, that actually was fulfilled in June of 2025. Now, one can think that since there were two different strikes, they could be two separate battles or conflicts. Or we could think that maybe the first hit in June of 2025 was the beginning of the actual Iran war, and there was just this several months of no strikes, almost like a long ceasefire, respite. And then it picked up again in February of this year, 2026. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to bring up the video I was telling you about that I just saw. I just happened not to have seen this video when it was out. Somehow I missed it, and so this was the first time I actually saw it. So he says here, in fact, for the first time, he indirectly but clearly stated time frames. Okay, so I found that very interesting. Something that he never did in the past. We will quote in interview format the conversation we had with him. And so this is what the elder says. Israel and Washington have jointly decided on the involvement of NATO. In the blow, they are diligently preparing against Iran, a hit that they have planned to do in the next few weeks, possibly before Pascha. They nurture the belief that the involvement of NATO in the massive attack on Iran will deter both Russia and China from intervening in support of Tehran. However, Moscow has prepared its response since it knows well that the NATO armada in the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf did not descend to face the Houthi attacks in Yemen. It has been properly prepared and will surprise the West with the ultimate goal of leading it to an immediate ceasefire and negotiations. In this effort, Moscow will have the sky as an ally. Now, in this note here, he's saying either Christopher or I think put this in. We are talking strictly about Orthodox Christian Pascha, which is on May 5th, 2024. This is when he's talking about this because he put this out in April 2024. Okay. It is wonderful what you are describing to us today, old man. What you say does not simply show that the time is near, but that we are, as they say in the Air Force, at 0 hour. The old ascetic of Pangaeus took a deep breath and continued. Christ gave a command my child, to clean the chaff from the wheat, and this will happen very, very soon. At the end of the year, you will find that everything will be much better. Until then, however, we will go through difficulties. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because of the fact that this portion here, Israel and Washington have jointly decided on the involvement of NATO, a hit that they plan to do in the next few weeks, possibly before Pascha. See that? Possibly before Pascha. That happened this year, in 2026. The Izzies and the U.S. struck Iran on February 28th, 5 days after Great Lent had started. And then there was the 40-day war, which I told you the importance of the 40 days, but the 40-day war, this particular war portion. And they struck, I said, possibly before Orthodox Pascha. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. Right now. So detailed and particular, specific. And that is what happened this year, not 2024, where some people were thinking, oh, this may happen now. But no, it happened 2 years later after he had said that. So that kind of gives you an idea sometimes, how long between saying a prophecy and when it's fulfilled on certain situations. The other thing that was important in that was this part where you're talking about what Russia and China had said. It has been properly prepared and will surprise the West with the ultimate goal of leading it to an immediate ceasefire negotiations. What happened after 40 days? A ceasefire, although it's saying that Russia and China worked on that, which I think is possible because I think America needed a break, and so did Izzy. But I found that interesting, that's exactly what happened. A negotiation. Well, sort of, The ceasefire, and then both of those things happened shortly, not very long after, 40 days. Amazing how specific and detailed that was by that elder. And I really felt like this was totally fulfilled, obviously, with even more detail. And I wanted to share that with you in case you might have missed it. I didn't see this before, so maybe you did, but I didn't. And I found this fascinating. So, with that, part 3, we're waiting for this to come up. So we'll see what happens at this point. So I just wanted to share that. I hope you got something out of that. Let me know if you already knew about this, or if you hadn't seen it or you hadn't thought about it. Share your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, for following my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel. If you'd like to become a member, click that join button below the video. There's 2 tiers, and the first one is light a candle tier of $2.99 a month, and then the other one, second tier, is the Coffee Hour Java, which is $4.99 a month. And like my videos if you like them. Helps the algorithms. Share my videos if you think they're worth sharing. Also, if you would like to just support me periodically, you can buy me a cup of coffee. The link is in the description. I hope you all have a blessed day, evening, morning, wherever you are.